Welcome to Raising Special Needs Kids. Real conversations, real hope, and real stories for families walking the special needs journey. Our host is Micah Schmelter, sister to a brother with Down syndrome, and we're here to remind you, you're not alone.
Welcome to the Raising Special Needs Kids podcast. I'm Monica Schmelter, and I started this podcast in honor of my late brother, Donnie Phillips, who was born with Down syndrome. And this podcast is all about celebrating special needs children, their families, and just creating connection and community amongst the special needs families and community. So Shelia Allen, so nice to meet you and have you on the show today.
Very nice to meet you. I'm so glad to be here. Thank you.
Well, we're glad to have you. And I might just mention that your lovely granddaughter, Kendall, who I love so much, works here at Christian Television Network with me. And She is just a wonderful young woman. And actually, Sheila, it was through her that I first heard about your son, Micah.
Yes.
I was telling Kendall about my brother with Down syndrome, Donnie, and she says, hey, my uncle, I've got an uncle, Micah. So tell me, Sheila, if you would, just a little bit about Micah and your family as we get started today.
Okay. Thank you. Yes, I tell you what, the family is so important in a situation like this. And for Kendall to step up and say, yes, I have an uncle, that just goes to show how he is just so celebrated and honored in our family. It seems like his birthday each year when it comes around is second only to Christmas. And so the entire family has played such a part, such a role in his life. And he, of course, he's an adult now, but throughout his entire life, his siblings, Will and Jana, they both were so important to his interacting with others and how others interacted with him. And the grandkids, Kendall being one of them, she's my oldest granddaughter, and then her brother Aaron, and I have three other grandchildren, Grace, Taylor, and Audrey. And they all just interact with him so well, and that means so much, just so much.
And I know that has to be, Sheila, at least in part to how you treated Micah and welcomed him and all of his unique abilities and personality. Now, I love that you said his birthday's second only to Christmas.
Yes.
That's how my brother was. The day after his birthday, the next day he would start talking about the next birthday. And it was it was just always that way. And I'd be like, well, Donnie, we just celebrated your birthday yesterday. And he's like, yeah, but I'll be this age next year.
Listen, Micah, when he sees that his birthday's in October, and when he sees the leaves falling from the trees in July, we're talking about his birthday now because he knows fall is coming, and that's his birthday. So it's just a thing. That's just
awesome.
A thing.
When is his birthday in October?
21st.
Okay, he's
October
the 21st. My brother was October 28th, and he
really?
Yes, and again, second only to Christmas is that birthday.
Right.
He just loved it. It never bothered him to get older, and I used to say to people, he knows some things about life that we don't because it didn't bother him to turn 30 or 35 or 40 or 45 or 50. It was just
like that.
all wonderful.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
They're so pure in every way.
Amen. Right? And it's just about life and enjoying life. And of course, who doesn't like to get presents, right? So, of course, as with all or most special needs kids, people try to put labels. But what did you say when people tried to put labels on your Micah?
Oh, goodness. Monica, when he was born, there was just fear of the unknown. I know when I grew up how things were. I didn't know how they were in schools and things like that at this point. But anyway, I still went ahead. I was afraid for him. I was afraid for me. I went ahead with him. And by the time he was ready to start school, I had worked with him so much. He knew his alphabet, most of them. He knew how to count like 1 to 10. And I know when I had to take him to get ready for his kindergarten years, man, there was a social worker that was there that did not do me any favors at all, and just was a terrible, terrible experience. But once he got in school, one thing I talked to every teacher about him and the way to interact with him was no matter what they say, what label they put on him, don't put him in a box. Let him do what he does. Let him do the very best and go the very highest he can. Don't limit him and, put some kind of cap on him and only expect so much. Just bring out everything that you possibly can in him. He was worth that. It was worthy that happened, and let him go as far and as high as he possibly could. And he did. He did. And he excelled in everything he did.
I know one of the terms that you used when we talked earlier is that he shined in everything that he did.
He did. He did.
And that happened really in spite of what that early entry counselor said to him, because you got him all set up for school, like with his numbers and letters and that. And what did she say to you when you were showing her how Micah could count his numbers and all of that?
That story is still quite emotional for me. And it's funny how you can have a memory and feel the same way you did that moment. Yeah. But I was so excited because I felt like he had come so far, and he knew those letters and he knew those numbers, and I was so proud of him. And this was, by sight. I would hold up, sight cards for him. And so I went there to the meeting with her, and I'm a young mother. He's 5 years old. And I was showing her all the things he could do. I was just showing him off and just showing her everything that he could do. And she made the statement that he was doing that, just simply mimicking. It wasn't that he knew or had retained anything. He was simply mimicking what I was doing. And she gave him a piece of gum to open with no instructions, and he could not. He could not open that gum. And she said, "See, I told you." And I went home, and that was, it was just almost more than I could take.
I can understand that. I just have to think if somebody said that to me about my brother or Micah, I might not have had some nice things to say back. And so what if he couldn't open up a gum wrapper? Maybe he didn't regularly chew gum. I don't even understand how, not a great attitude, right, for an entry counselor.
It took me years. And maybe I never got over it. I don't know. I could still weep over that. But I would say to any counselor out there that is supposed to be working with these children for their best, oh my God, that was just, it's a terrible memory to have. But I've got hundreds of good ones that we can talk about. But that was very devastating. However, I believe that's one reason I pushed every teacher that he had to give him the best, let him do the most that he could possibly do, and not just label him and put him in a box and expect only the least that he could do and be happy with that.
I did find out later for him. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
That's okay. I'm sorry. I did find out later that, and I don't know if this is still true at the time. This is what I was told, that they simply, when they're doing these testings on these children, they are simply trying to qualify them for special education. They don't really care what the numbers of the IQ really are. They just want them in a place to where they can qualify them for special education. I did not know that. I was looking for the highest and the best, just like I did with my son Will, just like I did with my daughter Jana. I was looking for the highest and best that they could possibly do. But I found out later that all they needed to do was qualify him, and they really were not concerned about the details. At least that particular counselor was not. I do not want to label all counselors in that light. This was one woman that came in a way that should have never happened.
Absolutely. And it may be that in spite of her very poor behavior and wording, it definitely inspired you to make a way for Micah with all the other teachers to just get in there and resolve all doubt. Like, this kid can do a lot, and I want you to expect the highest and best, just like you do of your other students, not asking for special treatment, but just like the other ones.
Absolutely.
And Micah did shine, right? He was junior high. He was on the football team, right?
Yes.
And he was mainstream school. He shined.
He did. He absolutely did. And this is the way that his older brother and sister that I think came in, and their friends. They included him. He was just put right in with them. At school, they mainstream the special education children in library, in gym, and of course in the lunch. So many different programs that they have, and the kids now are just so accepting. And I think that's where Will and Jana came up so much, his brother and sister, so much, and they brought all of his friends in. And it was always, hey man, high five. Well, I did a fist bump, that's what we do now. High five, hey man, how are you doing? And all the girls were going to marry him, and all the guys was high fiving him. So he was so accepted and included. And he played football when he was at Hunter. And I remember there was a little checkout girl at a store that we went in, just a cute little girl. And when Micah and I went through the checkout, she said, hey, don't you go to Hunter? Don't you play football at Hunter? She did not mention special ed at all. She just saw him as a football player, as another football player. And that was just so sweet to me. I thought that was so precious. And he wanted to play Little League, and I didn't even know if they would allow him to be on the team. They not only put him on the team, they made him their captain. So he was the captain of the Little League team. And so that acceptance and that inclusion, I think, just put him in such a place. And that just carried with him his entire life. It still does.
Right. It set the stage. It set the stage for him. He did, right, captain of the football team. Like, he did junior high football. Wasn't he in the Boy Scouts as well?
Absolutely, he did. He wanted to be in the Boy Scouts, and there's a pretty good sized pledge that has to be done that all the little guys have to do in order to be a Boy Scout, and there was no exception made here, except what they did, they allowed me to do sign language with him and help prompt him, and that's the way he got his Boy Scout badge, was Cub Scout badge, was doing his pledge in sign language. And he did so well. I mean, the entire room was standing and just celebrating what he had just done. So it was a wonderful night. I wish I had a video of that night.
I wish you did too. I would like to see it. And I just think how wonderful when, whether it's educators or like Cub Scouts or Boy Scouts, they didn't lower the standards. They just allowed for him to do the pledge in a different way. Because like my brother, who's in heaven now, I could understand every word that he said. However, he had a speech impediment, and not everybody could understand the words, but I would know that he's giving the right answer, he's saying the right thing. So I do think those kind of accommodations, that's only right and fair to say, okay, but he does know the pledge. Just because he can't verbalize it.
Exactly.
Micah knew the pledge, and so he did it in sign language, and everybody cheered him on, which is so beautiful, Sheila.
Yes. The entire room did. He got a standing ovation, and he got his badge just like the other guys did. So it was so sweet.
Yes, and I know that as a mom, right, that had to make your heart so light and so happy.
Oh, absolutely, and I found basically basically, I think what we did, we just made him a star. When we would go into a room, here's the thing, it's going to get attention anyway, a lot of times.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what you do, we just taught people how to interact with him. And we just
Yes.
made him the star. It's okay. It's okay. He can interact with you. He can speak with you. He can talk with you. And in all honesty, I think that's what happens with people. They're not sure. They're not sure how to interact. And I think you teach them how to interact with your child,
Right.
and you give them comfort, as to how he's going to respond. And it brings comfort to people in order to be able to interact with him too. I think that was the value of what Will and Jana did for him with their friends. They treated him just like the others, and so did the other kids then. They knew
Yes.
how to interact with him. So that's basically what we did. And I just I just pushed him out there and let him do what he could do. And that was what I was asking the teachers to do as well. So anyway, that's the way we
Exactly.
interacted with it.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
that's a wonderful thing, Sheila, right now, is I think of other moms or dads right now
Mm-hmm.
watching this podcast or listening.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes we don't know how to set the stage for our children. And when a kid gets a stare or people don't know how to respond, what
Right.
you're saying is you anticipated that might be the case, that
Yes.
people might be like,
Yes.
"Oh, I don't know what to say. I don't know,
Mm-hmm.
So you
Mm-hmm.
made it okay for them. You were just like,
Yes.
he's Micah, the star of
Uh-huh.
our family. And that
Exactly.
worked.
It,
So
it
would you
did.
suggest other moms try that, Sheila, and dads?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think there was a post that came on Facebook just this week, and it was talking about interacting with, children with autism or Down syndrome. And that was the thought. I didn't respond to the post in this way, but that was the response that I would have had I taken the time to
Mm-hmm.
completely respond to that. I'll give you an example of it. When he got out of high school, he went to work for Kroger. And when I took him there, his supervisor, her name was Donna. I truly believe she was an angel just dropped into Micah's life and mine. And she came to me and she said, I'm going to be honest with you. I have never dealt with this before. I've never dealt with a child with Downs or anything like this. What do I do? Just tell me what to do. And I told her, I said, you treat him just the same way you want to be treated. He may not ever know who the 16th president of the United States is, but he knows when you've interacted with him fairly. And he knows what a broken heart is and hurt feelings. He knows what happy is. Treat him just like you would want to be treated. And that's what she did. And one day, Micah got in the car after she had trained him, and he says, Mom, the eggs and the bread are friends. And I said, okay, that's good. But eggs and the bread are friends. And he said, yes. And he said, the cans are friends. Okay. Well, here's what that turned out to be. The next day I got to talk to his supervisor, Donna, and I said, he's telling me the eggs and the bread are friends. I think that's what he's trying to tell me. She said, yes, she was teaching him to bag groceries.
Yeah.
And that's how she connected with him,
Mm-hmm.
was making friends, and they could play together in the bags. And so that's how he learned how to bag.
Yeah.
Now
And
there's another. Go ahead.
I love that because
It's awesome.
I bagged groceries before as a teenager, and people would make such mistakes, and we all know, if you've gone through a line, that people that are normal, whatever normal is,
Yes,
don't know that the
whatever
eggs
normal is.
don't know that the eggs and the breads are friends, or that the cans are friends. So he's far ahead of most baggers, and
Well,
I think that's great.
there's another part to that. There was, as it turned out, he was the best bagger that they had because he had been taught correctly. Not only that, he did it correctly. There was a woman, this was in Goodlettsville Kroger, and there was a woman that would come all the way from Greenbrier down to the Goodlettsville Kroger because of Micah and the way he bagged her groceries. And she wrote this beautiful letter of accommodation to Micah, just bragging on him, and told the store this is why she comes to Goodlettsville Kroger, is because Micah bags her groceries. She says she always gets in his line. Well, they framed the letter and put it in a big frame, got a cake, and did a big celebration congratulating Micah because he had got such a beautiful letter written about him there at the store. So see, he took what he had and just excelled. He just excelled in everything he did. And it was because of people like Donna, my kids' friends, and I think just teaching people how to interact is about the best education that you could ever offer the so-called normal population.
Normal, I always just say it's just a setting on a dryer, right? It's a normal cycle.
It is.
The rest
You're exactly
of it,
right.
Right, we all know whatever that is. But Donna was the supervisor, correct?
Yes.
Donna did, I think, a great thing.
Absolutely.
To just be honest, right? I haven't encountered this before. Help me. Like, she wanted to do it.
Yeah,
she just didn't know the right thing. So
she
for educators
honest.
and teachers and counselors, just ask the parents, because parents know their children better than anybody else. And you know, that letter and that getting the frame and the party for Micah.
Oh, they celebrated him.
Yes, that's also for Donna, because she opened the door. Like, she got it when you said, when you said, okay, this is how you treat him. Like, she followed what you gave her, and she helped him be a star. She helped him.
She did
excel at what he was doing. And man, for a person to drive to a grocery store,
from Greenbrier to Goodlettsville because of the bagger.
I mean, just think about that message, like how much service means to people. And if you'll just give somebody a chance to do well. And I'll never forget that the rest of my life. The eggs and the breads are friend, and the cans are friends. And because I bagged groceries when you said that, I thought I know exactly what Donna was doing, because even the normal people, like, they would put stuff in, like, you cannot put cans, right? You can't put dish soap in with your eggs and the meat. Like,
absolutely.
You don't do that.
And a lot of times, even now, people do. I mean, you know, they're just in a hurry. They've not been taught. They've not been trained. And he took that seriously, and he did what he was told to do. And it was celebrated for him. It was recognized and celebrated. And I so appreciate that. As a mom, I so appreciate that. And the fact that she dealt with him on his level. That's, I think, what I was always asking for. You know, meet him. You would any other child. You wouldn't just put them in a box or a label. You would any other child. You would meet them at their level. At their level, not label. At their level. And that's what she did with him.
Yeah. And, you know, you said something earlier as you were talking about, you know, he knows what happy is. He knows when somebody hurts his feelings. And I think that this is something important for people to realize about special needs children. Yeah. Just because you have a challenge in some ways doesn't mean that you don't have feelings. Like, I would think about some of the things, like, sometimes a stare at my brother or this or that. It's like, do you, just because he had downs didn't mean that he didn't have feelings. Like, he knew if somebody was snubbing him or staring at him. And we need to be cognitive and sensitive to that we all have feelings. We may have differences, But people know, right, when you're
Yeah.
being rude or if you're staring. And so I think a few people need to rethink that, Sheila.
That's true.
And,
That's
and how
true.
they respond to people. What
That's
would you say?
that's what I'm talking about so far as teaching people how to interact. Those
Yes.
kids have no pretense. They are real. They don't know to lie to make you feel better.
That's right.
We teach our children to do that to keep from hurting people's feelings. They don't know that. Thank God.
Amen.
Yeah, so they don't have that pretense about them. And so
No.
you have to work with them, where they are. And yes, I knew this was happening and people were taking second looks. So it's okay, let's make them comfortable with him. Let's bring
Exactly.
them to his level and make them comfortable with him and know what to expect with him. And
Right.
I believe that's what our family did for Micah.
Yeah.
And that helped him. And goodness, he taught me so much.
Of
He taught
course.
me so much
Of
because that
course.
pretense is not there with him, and that was a valuable lesson for me too.
Yes. We
So
learn so much from these blessings that God
absolutely,
gives to our families.
yes.
So time has been going by so fast. We are almost out of time. But Sheila, if you just had to offer a takeaway to a mom or dad that's listening right now, and maybe they've got the stares or this or that, what would you suggest to them in just helping people know their child individually and help make their child the star?
Okay. When Micah was born, I already had two beautiful children, Will, who was 5 at the time, and Jenna, who was 3. And then I had Micah, and so much fear of what our future was going to be. And I remember his dad asked the doctor, "What do we do?" And Dr. Nemec told him, he said, "You take him home and you love him just like you do the other two." And that was the best advice anybody could have ever given us. And that's what we did. And we just mainstreamed him with his brother and with his sister and all of their friends. And we tried to, and I've said it many times throughout this, if there was ever any apprehension from other people where he was concerned, we tried to show them how to interact with him, how easy he was to interact with. Yes. I think that's what happens with people. It's their fear. Yes. And they don't understand this. They don't understand autism. They don't understand Down syndrome. And it's literally their fear of interacting. And you have to find a way to break through that and let them know he's just like you.
Exactly. And Sheila, like what you're talking about, to allay other people's fears, it's the same kind of fear that you felt when you didn't know what life would hold. It was Absolutely. The same kind of fear that I felt when my brother was born. They used that term mongoloid, and I didn't know all what they were talking about. Like, I was 11, but I knew that meant something was wrong. And
yes.
I was afraid.
Yes.
But I can still remember, as an 11-year-old, my mom handing me him as a baby, and I fell immediately in love, right?
Yeah.
It
yes.
was instant love. I was his second mother.
Yes.
I thought everything he did was the cutest thing that I had ever seen. I loved if they would let me babysit. I even loved changing diapers. I loved everything about him, and that's what I relayed to my friends. Like, this brother of mine is the best, and we love him. And and for my sister, same thing. It was just instant love. And I think of that scripture, Sheila, love never fails.
Yes.
And what the doctor told you and Micah's daddy is the truth. Take your baby home.
Take him home and love him.
And love him just like you love Will and Jenna. Just love, and love never fails. Love is so powerful. I am so sorry that we're out of time, but Sheila, I just want to thank you for coming and for sharing today. Such a blessing.
Well, it has been a blessing to me to get to share this part of him. I have been looking to do this for many, many years, and what an opportunity this is. And I do thank you, and I thank my sweet Kendall, and for making this connection for us.
Yes.
And thank you for having me here.
Yes. Kendall is one talented young woman, and she sure loves
Absolutely.
you. She sure loves you, and she sure loves her Uncle Micah. She and I have traded stories about Micah and Donnie for years, and it's just
that is so sweet.
You just see the connection, right? When someone else has someone in their family, like her face lit up when I told her about Donnie, and she told me about Micah, and my face lit up
and
because
there you were.
there's a connection there. There's a connection there because you've walked the same
road.
journey. Yeah.
Yes.
So thank you all for listening and for watching today. We love you. We love your special needs families, and we want to be here to create community and create connection.
Thank you for listening to Raising Special Needs Kids, a safe place for honest stories, practical help, and a whole lot of encouragement. We are so glad we're on this journey together, and we will see you next time.